and welcome to the Drop Podcast. This week's
hello.
episode
Is an episode
about
the new,
40k, hashtag 40k.
indeed, hashtag new 4K,
Woo!
which is what they are branding it as.
Yeah, we have more energy this week, by the way, guys. We did not have energy last week because it was 1 a.m. when we started watching that show. And
You didn't get home till like 4.
no, it was about 3:30, I think
That
it was.
wasn't- oh.
I left about 3:15.
That wasn't too bad then.
Yeah, luckily it didn't go on as long as we were expecting. We were expecting like a 2-hour show. And it
It almost was because of the amount of technical
oh my
difficulties.
God.
But geez,
I saw people joking, being like, because apparently this happens every time. Because obviously we haven't watched a lot of these shows, but like people have throughout time watched a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
And apparently this is like part and parcel of it. No, this is just how it goes.
Oh really?
Every single one of them has technical difficulties. They were saying they should release like a technical difficulty shirt, which would be quite funny.
I'd buy that.
Like the screen that they put up,
Yeah.
we're just on a t-shirt. I think that'd be quite funny. And like lean into it if it's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
I felt bad for them. I felt bad for Adam and what's the other guy called?
I can't remember.
Yeah, the two guys who were doing the show. Yeah, but they did really well. By the like, they were class.
Yeah. They ad-libbed really well.
Yeah. Apparently, so I was listening to the Poor Hammer podcast, and they went to the show. They were sitting in the room, and during one of the technical difficulties breaks, they went, "All right, guys, you're just gonna have to pretend and just applaud and like scream and shout when we give you like a motion to, because you're not gonna get any audio in the auditorium." And they were all like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, there's gonna be no audio to make this work." So they were just kind of going, "And now cheer," and everyone was going, "Yay!" Even though they couldn't like hear the videos that were going on, which I think is quite funny. So this week we're gonna go a bit deeper on all the hashtag new 40k.
We are indeed.
Yeah, and basically just give our opinions on how everything is gonna go. How they're gonna implement all these.
For the most part, it's pretty positive, I think.
Yeah,
Speculative but mostly positive.
Most of the changes that they've kind of speculated on, I am 100% happy with.
Yeah.
There's a few that I'm a bit like, oh, how's that going to work?
Yeah, because we kind of wait and see if they release more details.
Yeah. But
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully it will just come out and all look rosy and lovely.
Peachy,
yeah, and not be broken on release. Like, nothing ever is of 40k.
No, of course not.
Okay, so let's get into our first little segment. So, Armageddon. The second sort of Armageddon thing that's happening recently, because obviously there's the return of Yarick, which is Armageddon as well.
Indeed.
And then this box is set basically straight after the events of that book. So when we get that book released in, I think it's April, it's coming out, end of April, we will hopefully have a lot more lore on what's happening here.
I feel bad for Yarick. It's got this whole story about Armageddon and how they're fighting back against the Orc forces, and clearly the Space Marines do eventually get there.
Yeah,
but it's like,
well, he's the one who asked.
Yeah, it's like,
so
now you arrive.
Basically, the Lord snippet they've kind of given us for this. It says, after the events of Armageddon, the return of Yarick, the Imperial forces on the war world are in dire straits. The Orc vanguard, led by Wazdak and Gutsmech, has landed, and Gazgul's main force isn't far behind. So I think Gazgul's main force is the one that the Space Marines are fighting, whereas Wazdak and Yarick are fighting in the first one. So in a desperate gambit by Commissar Yarick, gets a plea for aid out into the stars, and Operation Imperator, a coalition of Space Marines from many, many chapters, surges towards the beleaguered planet. So, amongst those Space Marines that are coming, we have the Salamanders.
Nice.
The Ultramarines.
Boo.
The Space Wolves.
Nice.
And the Blood Angels, namely, because they are obviously the poster boys of this edition.
Poster boys of 11th.
Yeah, and then a bunch of other random bastards.
I like the marketing for it as well. Like the box is a carbon copy and remake of the second edition box.
Yeah, well, at least the cover art is, and then like there's bits and bobs that are like callbacks to the old edition. Yeah, which is very nice. It's very nice to do that. And if you put the boxes side by side, which I'll do on screen here now, they are very similar. Like the actual
layout of it,
yeah, it looks really, really cool. I really, really like how the Marines look in this box so far from what we've seen.
Yeah,
like
I'm a big fan of the new direction they're going.
Yeah, so like they're doing basically the idea is that the Marines have had a toll taken on them since the Primaris you know, like re-upping of them.
We did mention this in the last podcast
Yeah.
as well.
And they're basically just like having to re-equip with old equipment.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse for them to give them the better helmets, the Mark 4s.
Yeah, basically, they just want to put the old helmets back on.
And the knees are different.
Ones.
Someone pointed that out.
Yeah.
The knees are different.
Although I did say this to Liam during the week, I was like, if they're showing off that as like a point of like showing it off, and they've shown that one intercessor, he literally just has a different helmet and then like a slightly different like knee joint or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, is that the most like changed intercessor? Are the rest just going to look basically like normal intercessors? Which would be quite interesting. So speaking of models they've released in the box so far, we have the intercessor.
We do.
Which is,
I like it.
It's a Space Marine, isn't it?
But I actually like it, yeah.
And the helmet does look really, really cool.
Yeah.
I was saying I don't think I'm going to pick up the actual box, but I will be trawling eBay, I think.
Yeah.
After it comes off for some like for bits I like from the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they've also released an Orc Boy.
They have.
Which new sort of like ish design. They look a bit slimmer.
Yeah.
Don't they? A bit more live.
They do.
I think they look cool.
And you've got the old war boss that they originally announced and released for it a few weeks ago.
Oh, so yeah. So apparently
that was the first thing.
Well, apparently that wasn't meant to be released beforehand. It just got leaked, so they've released it. Yeah. So that was meant to be.
But you can tell it's going to be part of like this. Not necessarily this set, but the range. Because
it looks an updated range of orcs.
It looks like the new orc.
Yeah. So so apparently that box was released. That was meant to be in 11th edition, according to like rumors and stuff like that. And it got like leaked ahead of time.
Yeah, got found in a bin.
Yeah.
Good old games.
Hashtag Bingate or whatever. What was the Magnus one? Where it was,
that was
hashtag Magnus in the bin or so. I can't remember what it's called.
But yeah, no, I like the new. I like the direction they're going with the orcs. I love the direction they're going with the Space Marines.
Yeah, which is that.
It gives me like.
Did you just say you love something about Space Marines?
I know, because it gives me that the same kind of cool factor like the Raiders when they came out. That I just love the old aesthetic but modernized.
I do wish they'd gone a bit further with it, like a bit more, like marks armor, which you know what they might do. You know, in like the models that come out, there might be more bits and bobs, but. Just today, moments ago, they have revealed the leader of the orcs in this box, which is the Boss Knob.
The Boss Knob.
Yeah, and this guy is pretty cool. I think he looks better than the War Boss that came out.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's really, really sick. The only thing I don't like about him is his puny little axe. Like that doesn't look like it can hit anyone.
Yeah. I know, it is a bit weird. But to quote our resident orc player as well, there is one good-looking knob.
Yeah, Lee put straight in the chat being like, it's a good-looking knob, though.
Nice-looking knob. Yeah. We do agree, Lee.
So I was saying to Lee, do you reckon this is like a lieutenant equivalent for the orcs?
I think
like
so.
Sort of like that kind of...
I think it's got to be,
Yeah. He seems more shooty than fighty, though.
Which... Yeah, it
probably doesn't bode well for the actual usefulness of this model.
They might reveal more kit options available for it, maybe.
Well,
when it's like a released.
Maybe because basically what will happen here is that this model will be released in a push fit kit.
Yeah,
that's what they tend to do with these like new releases, like the new the start releases. You know, to make it easy for people to build models when they get into the game.
Yeah,
and so it'll be that one pose. There probably won't be any options for him on the sprue or anything like that. So I think we can just expect that he's just going to look like that, and that'll be his loadout.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even look like a big chopper. It's just a chopper, it seems, and then like a bit of combi shooter sort of thing with like rockets and stuff like that. Yeah.
I've definitely seen more imposing melee weapons, especially on an orc.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I do like it. Again, they're going a bit, adding their own basing as well, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, it says in the article here, this guy has obviously been given the Space Marines from Armageddon a good kicking, considering he's got 2 Marine helmets on his model.
And he's got a Mark IV helmet and a Primaris helmet as well, which is cool.
And if you notice the one he's managed to stab on is the Mark IV, because that's the prettier one, so he wants to keep that one. The other one is
the other one's
cast aside on the floor. Is that like some kind of foreshadowing or something?
Maybe it's like a symbolism.
Yeah, symbolism on the edition. Yeah, and when they said in the reveals during the show, there is a squig in the box.
There is indeed a squig in the box.
Little baby squig on his shoulder. And that thing's fucking adorable.
Yeah, I can imagine there's more than one.
Well, they said there'll be at least one squig in the box, so
I think we're
maybe.
going to see more squig.
Surely one of the grots
like
has a
cheeky
squig.
smile.
Yeah, that squig's up to no good.
Exactly.
Yeah, so do you think good or bad on the orc?
Good.
Good. I think
honestly,
he's very good. Yeah.
There's so far the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think the last time I was maybe disappointed and give something a generally bad review or impression was some of the Eldar Corsair bits.
Yeah.
I think everything else since then they've just been knocking out the park.
I think the sculpts were good. It was more the rules.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so it's like the sculpts 2026. We know they're doing so well.
Yeah,
and they're continuing to do well.
I saw a joke where someone was like, "Oh, they finally let the Age of Sigmar guys onto 40k, have they?" You know, especially with like Wazdacker and stuff like that, where like it's just ridiculous modeling work. Like it's mental.
I have seen it. A lot of people aren't actually a big fan of that Wazdacker model.
Oh, really? How come?
Just apparently the fire looks a bit weird. You know,
it is cartoony. It's like the smoke. It's cartoony,
exactly, and a lot of people don't like that. You know, this is a grim dark.
But you know what you can do? You can just chop it all off and put it on a base.
Yeah,
you don't have to have all that stuff. That's just like
I personally like it, but
I think he looks sick as fuck. And you know what? I think it'll look 10 times better when someone who's not the heavy metal team gets their hands on it. Because obviously they're amazing painters, but they do have a very distinct style that is quite cartoony. I think with like a lot of edge highlight and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when you get like some of the players who paint things grim dark or quite realistic with airbrushes and all that, you're going to be able to get some quite good Wazdacker models. And I can see that guy maybe be getting used for like a Golden Demon entry and stuff like that, because there's a lot to work with that model. You know what I mean?
100%. I can definitely see that happen.
So, he's just woke up.
Hello, Norbert.
So we have the Warhound Titan Norbert next to us,
and he's just woken up.
And he's just woken up when I started that sentence.
He's been
very cute. It's a bit sunny around here today, so he's literally just been sunbathing all day in the window.
Kisses.
Very cute. Very, very cute. All right. So basically what we're planning on doing now is going through one by one all the points they've kind of hit on about 11th edition.
Yeah.
And like how the rules are going to change. Oh. Sorry, just fired a gun. So we're basically just going to go through point by point from like the articles they've released. Obviously we watched it live, but I don't remember anything that happened in that show because I was asleep most of it.
Yeah, it's all blurry.
So we're going to go through one by one and basically just
give you a rundown of it and give our opinion. Yeah.
So, army building.
Let's
go with that first.
Indeed.
So, apparently, according to these guys, there is a way to make detachments yourself-ish.
Sort of. I think.
Yeah, like combined detachments.
Yeah, they said they're going to combine detachments, and I think I don't think you're going to have to worry about the detachments that are already in the game because they are staying. This might have something to do with the 70 that they announced.
I do believe that as well, because it does say you can sometimes do it.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be it won't just be like you can combine Star Shatter and Pantheon of Woe and take the best from both worlds, you know what I mean?
That'd be stupid.
It won't be stuff like that. It'll be like they'll release mini sub-detachments that you can then piece together like a puzzle.
Because imagine actually just being able to use, like you said then, with those Necron detachments, Montcar and Cao Yun in Tau.
Yeah,
you have 1, 2, and 3 of Montcar, and then 3, 4, and 5 of Cao Yun sustainers.
But then I do wonder whether it'll be like locked to units. So you'll go, I'm taking 2 detachments. Maybe not even that. Maybe just be like taking 2 detachments. I'm taking 1,000 points of this detachment, 1,000 points of this detachment, and both of those halves of the army have those things. Mm-hmm. But then in your example with Montcar and Cao Yun, you just fight your first half of your battle with your Montcar units and your second half with your Cao Yun units, don't you? So I like
though. I actually like
it. It is interesting. It's interesting.
So you're essentially having your crisis battle suits rush out with Montcar with Farsight.
Yeah.
And then Shadow Sun in the background with hammerheads and broadsides.
Yeah.
Being the patient hunters and having a firing line from the back.
It'll be interesting.
Broken.
Interesting how they can balance it.
Yeah.
Because that just sounds like a balancing nightmare for the game. It does.
It'll be specific detachments and they're all going to be new.
I do believe that, yeah, because obviously these detachments that are already currently out are not built with this in mind.
You'll have your standard detachments and you'll have your like combi detachments.
Yeah,
There'll be specific like jigsaw pieces.
Yeah, and it'll all be you can only do this with this, and you can only do this. And if you take these units, you can do this.
It'll be like a similar vein to what they're doing with the character customization as well, where they'll give you abilities and loadouts to pick for this specific character. And that
maybe they'll be like, you can only take these units in this attachment for that equivalent.
There will be heavy limitations.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I'd really hope so.
If there isn't, then I don't know what they're smoking.
I'm not sure I'm a fan of it. In theory,
I'm a fan of the concept, but we need. It's too early to like give a final. I can just see this coming out broken as balls on release, and then having to get really ripped back. Good. I want it to be busted so that we can dial it back.
Yeah.
And I want at least a week of playing busted.
You just want a week
of fun. At the end of the day, things that are overpowered are fun.
Yeah, ish.
But to a point, you do have to balance it competitively.
Yeah. And that will be the thing. It'll be whether. Because like there have been parts of the competitive scene that they've just banned stuff. You know, on release when they came out, like I'm pretty sure Mordaka was basically just universally banned out of on like competitive competition stuff like that. And like I could see maybe if this does come out real busted, they could just be like no sub detachments. That's not a thing. You can play with normal detachments and that's it. Like I could see maybe that being the thing. And then speaking of detachments, there's apparently going to be 70 new ones.
But which again, I think they're going to be. I think there'll be normal ones in there as well because they want to give
obviously
new. I think a good portion of these 70 are going to be, I guess you could call them the sub detachments, those combined detachments.
Do you think all 70 of these are going to be those sub ones?
No, I think 35 are going to be Space Marine regular detachments, and then everything else is getting one, and then the rest are going to be like combined.
I don't think it'll be that many
generic.
Space Marines. I think it'll be like 20 detachments for Space Marines out of the 70. I could see because you think they're probably going to do one for like an Ultramarines one. They're going to do a Imperial Fist one. They're going to do an Iron Hands one. They're going to do all the chapters. But I can see them getting one each, and then I can see them trying to like do that across everyone else and give like one each to everyone else. Hopefully, you'd hope they'd do something like that, and then maybe one or two specialist ones that are a bit more fun and a bit more exciting. But yeah, I can see with these 70 that maybe they do maybe just to trial it and see how it works. Like 10 of them are these sub detachments, you know, that they can kind of like mix and match with.
Yeah, it might be worth noting as well. Another detail, it does say in larger games.
It does say larger games,
so
yeah.
Maybe this is just an Apocalypse
or Onslaught. Yeah, whereas like after your 2,000 points, you can take 1,000 points from another attachment.
I will actually go on record now and put my money on that actually being the case.
Yeah.
They want it. So the pushing narrative style playing, a good way to do that is having larger armies like an Onslaught, because Onslaughts aren't really... They are an official thing.
Yeah, but they're not competitive because you can take a lot of broken stuff in Onslaught.
So I think that the drawing factor into playing an Onslaught, because what else does Onslaught mean? Buy more models for your army.
And then if they're allowing other attachments, it allows you to buy another wing of an army.
Exactly. A combat patrol of Raven Wing to go with your
Deathwing. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I can see that happening. So pushing that 3K narrative now.
I can see that, yeah.
And that's when you
could be on something there. You know, me and Kev are doing a 3K game soon.
Nice.
He's got about 3K worth of Blood Angels now.
Angels versus Dark Angels. Put your money on, but folks, who are you going to win? I know I'm picking.
Wrath of the Rock.
Come on, Kev. I feel like we've been shitting on Kev for the past few podcasts.
No.
This podcast is nothing but love for the big man Kev and his Blood Angels.
And his beautiful face.
His beautiful face.
Yeah.
Teletubbies.
Shut for that picture on.
Yes. No, don't.
Just dox Kevin. Oh, that's weird. Kev literally just messaged me.
See, he knows what I'm talking about. We should probably stop. Anyway.
Yeah, so that is basically what we think of this new army building thing. And
there's a few other bits that we missed as well. Actually, one thing I was really looking forward to mention, because I can't wait for it, mainly because there's a few examples I can think of where I just can't wait to use. Characters now, they're changing within your army. So essentially when
of course.
So obviously they're still within the army structure and the rules to do with that. So it used to be, and I think it will still be quite similar, where you would have your character technically separate until you get into your deployment phase, not the deployment phase, your army gathering
mustering,
phase.
Army muster, whatever it's called,
and that's when you select your character to go in.
Which we never really did. We always just made our army.
I built a list with that in mind, unless I was playing a set and I was playing a World Eaters list where I was running...
you threw the mow around a bit, didn't you?
No, it was Slaughterbound, and I would run a couple of units of the 8-bound, a couple of units of the Exalted,
Oh, you just chose
And the
which one
one
you want.
slaughter ammo, depending on what list I was going into, slaughter ammo then attached with an 8-pound unit.
In case you were going into like in a lot of infantry or a lot of it, yeah, that makes sense. Because if you don't know what about the slaughterbound, about the 8-pound, the exalted are really good into vehicles,
anti-monster vehicles,
yeah, and the normal guys are really good into like infantry, and like that sort of thing, yeah.
So now if you, regardless if your character is on his own or you put him in, it doesn't matter. Sorry, when your character is in a unit,
yeah,
he's
in that unit.
It used to be he's in that unit, but it used to be that when the unit dies, any ability that would be like, oh wow, this model is in you. I'm going to give Khan as an example. So Khan the Betrayer gets his reroll 1s to hit and wound while he's leading a unit.
Yeah.
If you kill those berserkers,
he
no
doesn't
get those rerolls.
Yeah.
Now in 11th, he does.
Yeah. So
any unit that is leading with buffs, they get those buffs.
Yeah.
And keep them.
And they've basically just said, even if it doesn't word it that way on the data sheets, that's how it works now.
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, you're apothecary biologist with your squad of aggressors. Gives lethal hits. The squad dies, no longer gives lethal hits. The biologist will still get lethal hits because it was leading a unit.
I'm assuming
it's still a squad of aggressors.
In the wording that these characters are still going to be, they're going to be that unit. They are still that unit. Yeah, so that would be interesting to see the scoring.
That's what I was going to bring up now. So I do think, like on where you got like no prisoners or something like that, and you killed, say, the unit,
the bodyguard in the shooting phase,
and then it became a separate unit. I think it's just still the same unit. Same for like Oath of Moment, things like that. Where
we still have secondaries.
Yeah, well, I do think secondaries are still going to be a thing. I just think they're going to be tailored based on what your army is. But well, we'll get into that in a second. Yeah. The unit is still going to be a unit because that character is assigned to that unit before the game's like in the list building step. So technically, it's not a apothecary biologist and 6 aggressors. It's a squad of aggressors led by a biologist. And then, even if the 6 die, that biologist is still a squad of aggressors led by a biologist until that unit dies itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I think is a lot more simple, works a lot better.
Yeah, it's less questions
doesn't have
asked.
Feel bad.
It's less questions asked.
It's just make things simpler.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the game anyway. Just make it simpler.
And it makes Khan better now.
It does make
because Khan can run around with his rerolls.
It does make Khan better now, and that is the best for Liam. Okay, so kind of going on from picking your army. Sorry, Liam's getting savaged by my dog now, with a tongue and a bladed claw.
Extra attacks.
Going off like selecting your detachments and how that is going to affect the game. Now, apparently missions are going to be tailored to what kind of army you have.
Yeah,
which I find very interesting. And
interesting.
I'm very up for that. Yeah. This
maintaining judgment for now.
Yeah, we'll see how it's implemented. Yeah, I've got theories of how it's implemented, which I'll go over in a sec. But I can see this kind of being more of the adding back the story elements into a game. Like what they're trying to do with the whole edition.
Which I'm excited to see how they.
Yeah, which will make games different. So you're not having World Eaters, for example, trying to terraform. They're not going to fucking do that. They just want to go and kill the army that's in front of them.
And I like that.
You know what I mean? So it seems like
it's like your squad of berserkers and your demon prince are ready to go forth and defend stronghold. Oh.
Yeah, and I'm just going to do a sabotage action.
Yeah.
instead of going and killing that unit in front of me, which it feels weird, doesn't it?
It's very chess-like, isn't it? It's very.
It's just
too structured.
in that context. It's just turning units into chess pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than, and it takes all the flavor out of them. Whereas how it's kind of described in the new edition, it's going to be you'd basically just, depending on what detachment you pick at the beginning and depending on what detachment your opponent picks, is how I've read into it. You'll get certain missions based on maybe a defensive army versus an aggressive army, or so
you'll have
a disruption army versus a defensive army, something like that. And there'll be certain cards that you can score based on that. Is how I'm reading into it.
On your codex, they might even do a symbol.
That's what I'm thinking.
Each army with a shield for your defensive army.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it'll be detachment based.
Imperial Fists will be a defensive army.
Yeah. So
Iron Warriors would be.
I'd say a disruptive tactically army.
It might be a hybrid between offensive and tactical.
Maybe, yeah, and then depending on what that is how you get. Sorry.
Ow.
No, but leave him alone. Norbert's asleep, and because we keep talking, he keeps just pouring at Liam with his claws.
Pouring, and then there's jabbing. Good stuff.
Whatchamacallit, where are we up to? So yeah, basically depending on what that detachment entails. So a first company task force, the Terminator attachment. That'll be a very aggressive attachment because a lot of Terminators deep striking in and then like holding ground in the middle and fighting. Whereas like, say for like the Imperial
so you
Fist
think
one,
it'll be detachment by detachment basis?
I think it'll be
not
detachment
faction?
by because
I hope it's attachments.
because like a White Scars army doesn't fight the same as an Imperial Fist army, and they're in the same codex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the White Scars should be very aggressive, whereas the Imperial Fist should be
Kao Yun's
exactly exactly that for Tau. And I think that's how they will structure it, and I think that sounds really interesting to me because it makes the games feel like they should. Like a World Eater army running a Tau gun line should feel like that World Eater army trying to kill the Tau while the Tau are defending their lines.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel like the Tau need to go and like do an objective in the middle.
Yeah, so the Tau might get objective-based missions, because especially like stronghold-based ones, because they're holding like a firing line.
They might have a mission that says maybe like, by the end of your opponent's turn, no more than 3 of your units could have died.
Whereas the Worlds are opposite. If you've killed 3 or more units this turn, grab yourself 5 victory points.
Yeah, it could be something along those lines, where they kind of go off each other, and it'll be based on. But then the missions will be different if you're playing defensive versus like a tactical middle kind of board, like a Salamander's army.
Yeah.
Like that, where they want to hold the ground in the middle versus, say, like a Tau gun line. There might be different missions between those two, is how I've read it. That's how I think they're
like a skirmisher army, like assault army.
Yeah.
Almost like
a horde army will have different things where it's just like have units in various board presence at all times. That could be like how missions are done there.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's very
it's got everyone in like suspense now, because
this is the thing I'm most excited about. I think like how they're going to do this.
Some. And we're all about like, ooh, like what's going on here?
They've gone all Slaaneshi on us, and they've proper tickled our genitalia about this one, and that's a horrible sentence.
I know, I thought you'd like that one.
This is the part of the reveals that I think I'm most interested in out of everything so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm thinking of, but I don't know. I'm more interested in the actual gameplay side of it.
Yes, which we will go on to now.
So getting into the actual gameplay side of things now.
Yeah.
Huge change. One that is very much welcome, at least for me, and I imagine for a good deal of the 40k community, is the changes to the objective markers.
Yes.
So you kind of took it for granted. I never really realized it until they brought it up.
Yeah.
That circle objectives were just kind of
unimmersive as fuck.
Out of place. Like
what the hell?
You can't see a warband of orc knobs rushing towards a Vanguard veteran squad and going, I'm gonna get on this circle
and I'll OC you so I get the
like it doesn't make any sense. This is my circle.
Are we ready for a crumpin? No, I want to hold a circle. It's very uninspired, and it's very. Whereas how they've kind of described it in the new edition,
seems like
terrain.
I'm sure we've mentioned it like a lot when we were first getting into the game, but like, how cool would it be if you just had to hold this rune? Well, it seems like that's kind of what they're doing now. So it's almost like we are prodigies of the game.
And for example, like people like Kev and that, when they first started playing.
Thank you, Norbert. There we go.
Did you all hear that?
Nom, nom.
People like Kev, when they first started getting in the game, they were like, "Oh, so do we like hold the terrain and stuff like that?" When I was like,
and we were like, "No, we wish."
no. When I was like putting objective markers down, they were like, "Oh, just put it in the terrain," and I was like, "No, it has to go in certain places on the board and like around here." And they were like, "That's a bit weird." And I think Gabe was a bit like that as well when he was first getting into it. He was a bit confused, but I do like how they're describing it, and maybe I'm really excited about is if they release like certain aspect ratios these bits of terrain have to be. You hold, like making my own like objective markers that I can bring
fort,
like little dioramas, like stuff like that. Like you could have like a crashed like.
You could kit bash your own objectives.
Yeah, well, I've got these like old land speeders. I could have one crashed into a thing, like stuff like that. That
if you've got an old Land Raider Rhino model that you've broken, it's just been on your shelf. Get it out because now it's terrain.
Turn it into terrain and put like some supplies next to it, and like that's like something trying to capture back. Which would be really cool, I think. And I know you could technically do that before. You could put terrain bits on the objective markers, but
they say kind of purpose other than decorative.
Yeah. Whereas now it'll give what
narrative experience
and what they have changed about terrain in this new edition, where it no longer changes the AP, it changes its management to hit.
Yeah,
apparently,
which is huge.
Yes.
So everyone get your ignores, cover weapons.
Yeah. Me and Liam were talking about this before, and it's like this is going to make Tau kind of bonkers because a lot of the marker light stuff gives ignore cover, which is basically just going to turn off a lot of management to hit across the board, which a lot of other armies won't have access to.
Essentially, like anything that acts as the observer unit for your army, essentially giving the rest of your army +1 ballistic skill.
Yeah.
So it makes them hit on 3s instead of 4s.
Yeah.
If they've got the marker like keyword, which is super easy to do because almost everything in the index can be given a marker drone, which gives them the marker like keyword. Weapons when shot also have ignores cover.
Yeah.
So that is going to be massive because
power.
Yeah, because AP is fine. There are ways to alter AP.
Yeah.
Whereas the only thing really that we're altering the hit rolls is things like stealth. And
Yeah.
not everyone has stealth. Now, if you are in a bit of cover, you have stealth.
Would you? But then also, won't stealth stack with that?
It would be interesting to see, and they're definitely going to change it.
Because like stealth, and then also being in a ruin, getting. Does that work getting -2 to hit?
Yeah, so they kind of won't be able to stack, but they might change one of them. So maybe stealth will be -1 to your opponent's ballistic skill, which is stackable.
That could work, yeah.
So it would be really interesting. -1 to hit makes sense for stealth.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. The only thing I'm worried about here is because they are mentioning like it would be a lot easier to get cover in this edition. You know, like, and it's already very easy.
It's so easy to cover.
Is this -1 to hit going to be given on units within terrain or units wholly within terrain?
It's got to be wholly.
And is it going to be vehicles and monsters as well as infantry? Or is it just going to be infantry?
I hope not. I hope it's just infantry.
Because if you can just like toe poke a dreadnought onto a ruin and get -1 to hit, that seems a bit bonkers to me.
Just imagine playing
you know what I mean?
Like 30 odd crisis suits. I'm like, oh, this third of my squad of 3 is going to be toe poking this ruin.
Yeah.
Now they're -1 to hit.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it'll be wholly within.
Seems bad.
If it's not just.
And then also, you know, with like the AP, how it worked with the cover. How it worked with like your saves.
Yeah.
You'd have to take saves on the model that was in the ruin until he died, and then you wouldn't get it anymore. If you're trying to hit, how would that work? Would you have to roll hits until that unit dies and then roll other hits? So I could see it being wholly within for that reason. It
has to be wholly within.
But otherwise, it's just it makes it a gameplay nightmare. They're trying to simplify
the game, and if they're going to simplify it, make it wholly within.
Yeah, it makes it a gameplay nightmare for me. Otherwise, like that doesn't make 100%. Sense unless they just get it no matter what, which is also a bit. The only one other thing about terrain that has come out is this lone op thing.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. This is probably the only one. I think you're a little bit more.
I don't like this at all. I think it sounds shit.
Basically, if you have at the start of the game, you place a unit. Again, I can only see this being infantry. I can't. If this is a vehicle.
Yeah, this is vehicles. You can just like have something held at the back of the board, ready to go.
Yeah,
for
so a unit that hasn't shot.
I do think they did say infantry as well. I do believe they did say that.
A unit that hasn't shot that is wholly within a ruin.
Yeah.
Cannot be targeted outside of 15 inches. That's interesting because it's almost like they're I don't know if anyone's familiar with Kill Team. It's like the hidden
mechanic,
and then active.
Yeah.
So it's like activating a unit ready, and then you can shoot them, and that's when they're visible.
Which I guess could work.
It's a bit like having, if you've ever played like any kind of strategy video game, Shadow of War. Not Shadow of War, is that what it's called? Fog of War.
Fog of War,
It's almost like a Fog of War.
There is like a Fog of War, yeah. Except you do still know where the units are. So they are still interactable technically, if you can get close enough to do it. Yeah. But then it's like...
You could just ruin hop with a fast unit.
That's what I think is going to happen. And I do think, like, ruin hopping up and then getting the -1 to hit as well when they do get within that. It just seems...
is quite... It's quite a lengthy bit, though, I think.
But it's still like, you know... A lot of shooting armies try and stay around 24 inches away, don't they? You know, it's like so the chargers can't get to them very easily.
I can see why they've done 15 inches though, because 15 inches does somewhat balance it a little bit. You can move within that 15, shoot them, so you don't basically have to move within 12 to get the charge off as well. You can still move far enough away to be able to shoot them without like any threat to charge.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
know. Maybe something like that. I'm not too sure.
But the one thing I can see with this happening though is people just taking say in the Imperial, Imperial agents like allies you can take in that like Minister and Priest is like 40-point model or like 30-point model. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's like the cheapest thing you can buy in Imperial Codexes. You just take him in every game because he's got loan up on the back of the board and just sitting on your home objective, which is terrain, so you can't be shot outside of 15 inches. That is going to happen every game, I think.
Well, we don't know for certain that objectives are like ruins.
Yeah,
they will be.
No,
a terrain piece.
Objectives are terrain. Oh, is it only ruins? It says
it'll be ruins.
Speaking of terrain, it's now easier to hide units before they join the battle. Menus can't be targeted themselves until they've shot until the enemy have ventured very close, making them less vulnerable to it. I guess they haven't said if it's going to be ruins.
I think it'll be ruins.
Yeah.
Like what classifies as a ruin. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, it's something we need to know more
about.
I
need to see how this is going to work because it's either going to be completely fine, or it's going to be really fucked. And I don't think there's going to be any in between.
Games Workshop wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't ever
unbalance
release
the game,
anything
no.
that's ever fucked, ever.
No,
that has
right.
never happened once, ever.
Exactly.
Wraith Knights, a devastating winners. Oh.
So we're getting into the juicy stuff now as well.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
The nitty gritty.
Yes.
What could be potentially defining, defining at least the start of 11th edition and how the games will play out. It does look like Melee is going to be a bit of a
Melee's going to be
point
nuts.
We haven't heard anything to do with shooting. They probably will announce more. They definitely will announce more when it's released.
Yeah.
But they've definitely given us a good look at what is essentially a massive buff for Melee armies.
Yeah.
And that is the way a lot of the close combat's going to work. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's complete shake-up of the close combat system. And
Charges are completely different.
for the better.
For the better. 100% for the better.
Because we did say this last time, like, having a unit stand around like a lemon after it's failed a charge is the most feels bad thing in 40k.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But one thing, sorry, before we get on to the charge, we did miss another really big thing as well.
What?
This is to affect essentially stacking all your buff stratagems.
Oh, yeah.
So you can only target a unit once per stratagem, not per turn.
Yes.
Which is...
Is it per turn or per phase?
In a phase. So it's in a phase.
In a phase, yeah.
You can't give them like +1 AP, and sustain hits, and all that nut stuff. A unit can only be targeted with a stratagem once per phase, which is nice.
And it like, for example, say for example, you need to do a ability in a charge. So say like you have to activate a stratagem in your charge phase that gives your unit lance.
Yeah.
But you have to reroll that charge. Then you no longer can give that unit that stratagem.
So if this is things like combat rerolls,
Mm-hmm.
you can you've got to pick now. You can either combat reroll or give them a buff.
Armor contempt or reroll that one failed save.
Exactly.
You know, it's there's like a lot of stuff there, which I think it's really good. Yeah,
I like it.
It means that you can't just turbocharge a unit and make it very, very killy or very, very defensive than it should be,
like
which I can always see.
It's like
better.
saving your CP. Obviously, we've spoke a few times on this channel how CP economy is fucked.
This kind of fixes it.
This does help with it so much.
Like there'll be certain parts like where you can do multiple things with different units. You know, like you'll be able to give one unit this and one unit that, but you just won't be able to give that the single unit 7 different things in a turn, which I can say is a very good change.
Yeah, 100%. But back to the charge.
Yes.
So now, this is so nice. I love it. When you make a charge, you do not declare a target.
Nope.
You roll your charge dice.
Yeah, you just go. This unit is charging.
This unit, you declare your unit is making a charge, then you roll your dice.
Yes.
You can then, depending on the result, select a target that is within range of the result of the dice.
Yeah. So
which is huge.
So you can always try that long bomb.
So you could be like, well, there's a unit 12 inches away from me there. That would be nice to get to, but there's also one 7, and there's one right next to me.
I do wonder
if you roll a double 6, go for the unit. You know.
I do wonder how it'll work, like just in like sequencing. Do you roll all your charges first and then decide your targets, or do you decide your target every time you roll?
Considering all the pile-ins, which we'll get onto as well, like the pile-in and consolidations are all happening at once now. This is not unit by unit activation.
I'm wondering if you just roll all your dice.
You go, this unit's roll. Although it's a lot. Especially if you're playing an army like Blood Angels or World Eaters,
we just leave the dice.
You're making a lot of charges.
You just leave the dice next to them, like see what they've got,
and then
But then because
it doesn't leave your opponent time to react with something like a heroic intervention. In the sequence.
Yeah, I do. So I
think charges are going to be individual.
Yeah, so it'll be I roll this charge. Oh, let's have a little measure. Oh, I can make it there. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Which
you're planning out your charge while you're rolling. It's nice. It's such a nice little change.
And then.
So,
obviously, your opponent can then react.
Yeah, your opponent can then react accordingly. Once you've made all your charges, another big change, like I've just mentioned, is then instead of going into the fight phase and then going, right, this unit activates first.
Yep.
Now I'm going to pile in, and then we fight.
Yes.
This is now, once you've got all your charges made, you go, right, everything piles in.
Yes.
And then you fight. Then you select. So it is a change of order. And you know what? It just simplifies.
It makes
the
it
game.
so much simpler. Because there's so many times, when you're just like going through all your bits and bobs, you just forget to do the piling and consolidate sometimes.
I forget all the time.
And
it's almost like this is the piling phase.
Exactly. That's why I think the fight phase is already split into 2 phases. It's already the fight's first phase and the fight's phase. It's just gonna be 5 phases instead. So it'll be you'll have your consolidation phase, where you consolidate your models into the opponents to get as many units base to base as possible.
Yep.
You'll have your fights first phase, which has also a change announced.
It's like start first as well.
No, there's going to be like a strike first.
Strike first.
I believe if one of you can pick one of your fights first units and they fight before your opponent's fights first. I think that's how they described it.
Which I love, because I've personally thought in 10th edition fights first units are quite unbalanced.
Yeah, it's quite hard to actually get around them. Like you can just abuse them, and then they'll have the fight phase, and then they'll have the pile-in phase.
So what it's essentially going to be is, so we'll take, for example, a GGCR squad, right,
yes,
with fights first, and then it's getting charged by a unit of berserkers.
Yes,
right. You've made all your pile-ins. You've made all your charges. Now, the attacking player will select their strikes first.
Yeah.
And they have complete priority.
Yeah.
What fights first now, the ability is now going to have is, what's the core stratagem to fight next? That's essentially what they get for free. Yes,
they just get a first activation.
They get a first activation before,
which I always thought it was weird that the defending player did go first in your turn. It felt strange.
Yeah,
and
this sort of helps with that. Yeah, it makes it clearer.
Yeah,
and,
but
you being on the offensive comes with an advantage.
Yeah, one thing I did see though, those people saying that maybe this is only for fights first units, that they get to pick a strike first unit.
We'll see.
Which it doesn't really change because if you charge, you get fights first. That's part of the charge bonus. So, but there might be like if it's just ongoing combats, and a unit has fights first, it'll still fights first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So charges are definitely, well, if that's correct, charges matter. 100%.
Yeah. And something else they also did mention in this like sort of like rolling the dice and doing all these bits is fast rolling is now the standard.
Which we've always done.
Well, everyone's always done it. They just never wrote the rules around it, but I think now they're gonna specifically write rules around fast rolling, which is the better way to do it.
Yeah, it means you can look into it if you've ever been confused, especially for new players.
Yeah,
how it works.
Yeah, because it's a lot of like
they've just integrated it now. They've integrated what players have been doing, the community have been doing to help their game.
Yeah, to make things quicker and make things more simple,
which is a good thing for new players.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, and another thing we just nearly forgot there.
Indeed.
The apparently now, though they described it as Rhino Rush back.
Yes.
So your units can disembark into
the
combat.
world eater in me is just like so happy.
Yeah. Like so. I think they did like kind of like give a wink and a nod to like their berserkers basically when they were talking about this.
There's a lot of world eater imagery as well. Like, along the.
So basically, how they've said this is combat focused armies will get a couple bonuses for aggressive plays. So select your target after you've made the charge roll, meaning your units like things. Less likely to be left twiggling the thumbs. And secondly, in some circumstances, units can disembark from transports directly into combat. Huge news for fans of choppers, chain axes, or other brutal close combat weapons.
Indeed. So it does say in some situations, and what I think you mentioned it before the podcast as well, which I think is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That some situation is if that transport gets charged.
Mm-hmm.
If your transport gets charged, you can disembark reactively with a melee unit inside it.
Yes.
To go, okay, you've charged me, and they've made their charge.
Mm-hmm.
They've made contact base to base with the Rhino, or base to the chassis. I'm now going to disembark my units into combat base to base.
It'd be interesting to see when it is, because obviously they haven't really revealed when that is, and whether it's
because if you wrap that transport up, you're not going to.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Liam. Like, if you can consolidate first or whatever, and like get as many models as possible around the transport, there's going to be no way for them to get out without landing on your models.
It'll probably be they successfully complete the charge.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be at the end of a charge.
Before the consolidation phase, which is what it's essentially going to be.
I think it'll be at the end of the charge. You can
at the end of the charge phase, and then now we go into start of the fight phase.
But then if you do roll high enough, you will still be able to just like wrap a model and stop it happening.
And that's just the game.
That's why it is sometimes.
That's the dice roll at the end of the day.
But then also, it does say that you get battle shocked by coming out of transport. So it's like you're in a big rush.
And there are some interesting things with that, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So basically, in the Dark Angels forums, the deep dark vaults of the Dark Angels, people have been saying, "Is this the biggest buff for the Unforgiven Task Force we've ever seen?" Because if you don't
Stick
know,
everything in pulses.
Yeah, the Unforgiven Task Force is shit. It's got a good suite of stratagems, but a lot of the detachment relies on being battle shocked, and there's no reliable way to battle shock a unit in Space Marine, especially with like Leadership 6 on every model.
Exactly.
It's quite hard to just get battle shocked in general. And basically people are saying, do we just put everyone in transports and then drop them out, and then when the battle shock they get the super stratagems?
Exactly.
Which I think is quite hilarious.
You've got that, and then the Rage Field
Rage Field Onslaught as well, obviously. They get, but they can battle shock themselves though, so they have the bonus, which is annoying.
It's the better version.
Yeah, so that could be fun. The only other thing I was thinking about this is, can you do this aggressively? Can you charge a rhino in and then disembark at the end of a charge?
That just sounds epic, so I hope so.
Yeah, is that like, because like the way they've described it, rhino rush, that makes me think you can do it. It shouldn't just be defensive; it should be aggressive 100%. As well.
So my rhino is gonna my rhino full of Khan and berserkers.
Yeah.
Is going to be the one that makes the charge.
Yeah.
It just means gone would be the days of going right. I'm going to start this unit in the transport, and they're going to disembark to get that +3 inches at the start.
Yeah.
And it's all movement focused.
Yeah,
then.
and you just basically just measure the whole thing as you go. Yeah.
This is my transport. It's my battle buggy, and I'm going to run at you. My rhino is going to complete the charge.
Yeah.
Going to tank shock you as well.
And then as the charge is completed, the doors fly open. Berserkers
disembark into combat.
Yeah. Or a truck full of boys. I can
see that. Yeah.
Or 100%. A Land Raider full of Terminators.
But only in a detachment that is melee focus, which could lead into that kind of.
I don't think it'll just be melee focused. That'll be a core rule, I believe. That'll happen in the game. If it is,
or a stratagem, core stratagem.
It could be a stratagem.
Combat
disembarkation. Maybe possibly that could be one of the core stratagems. Very interesting. Yeah, like it again, this gives a lot of oomph to combat armies, which seem to be getting a fucking lot of love.
So it'd be really I mean, they're not going to just leave shooting armies. It'd be really interesting to see what they will do in the shooting phase. There's been no mention
whether Overwatch is getting a buff or something like that. Like something like along those lines.
Gabe somewhere in the world just had Overwatch buff. But that's basically all the changes to the game.
To the rules. So now we've just got to go into the last little moment, which is the app.
Last little bit.
Yeah, Games Workshop seem to be finally listening to the community a little bit here. In a somewhat way. It seems like they're getting a bit better because they are basically updating the app.
Which makes sense because 10th saw the start of this app.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, we basically started in 10th edition as well. I can't imagine what it was like for all you older players out there.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to just go paper.
And a lot of it was like rules spread across a million different like FAQs and things like that. Battlescribe
as well, I think was heavily used, wasn't it?
But like they used to have printed out FAQs, a codex, this detachment that got released.
So it only
and you'd have a load of shit that just wasn't in a centralized place. And then and all the stratagems that you had to figure, because like each army used to have like 30 stratagems, that they could like pick from as like a suite. It was bizarre. And like it just seems mental now. Like playing the edition we play, and it's already pretty complicated. But that you then had to factor in all that crap as well. Yeah.
So it only makes sense that in a new edition of this digital age, essentially, that the app goes through almost like its own little rework, and that's what they're doing, and in a great way.
Yeah.
Not only are we getting the language support, which is fantastic.
Yeah, always good. Yeah, spread the game across multiple countries,
we've not
things like that.
Obviously,
dialects. Yeah.
But Luke, could this see a change in how the codex the code that you might get,
and how the rules are actually distributed to the player base?
It seems like there's gonna be a lot of focus on actually not just the army building, but the gameplay side of it as well with the app. So score keeping,
which is very interesting.
It's very interesting.
People use a lot of third-party apps for that.
Yes,
and it does work very well.
Yeah, and I'd be if it was all just on one app.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh,
I might get me Warhammer subscription back if that happens.
Same. I've just cancelled mine. I've literally not long cancelled mine.
But then there was talk of seeing your opponent's rules while you're playing them, which I don't know how they're going to. Whether there's like we're having a battle now, I can share my army to this player.
What I can think it would be is because we've all got accounts.
Yeah,
we've got Warhammer accounts. How I can see it is, you've got your army builder, which is already on the game, and then there's going to be that battle section. You go on battle.
Oh, the bunker.
Start battle.
The bunker bit.
Or the bunker bit, yeah. Start battle.
Yeah.
And then you essentially invite each other.
Yeah, like a Bluetooth thing or something.
No, it won't be Bluetooth. It'll just be online accounts.
Sure,
Bluetooth. What is this? 2005.
Wow.
This will be. You invite via email or their account or whatever, and then you're in, right?
Yeah.
Then you can go, oh, what's the data sheet of your base marine? And I go, oh, I'm sending it across to you now. This is it, and you can preview it. You can say, this is it. Because they have their bunker set up already. Yeah.
You can just see their bunker while you're in the battle with them.
Yeah. And only the bunker.
Yeah. Like you can't then change things. You can't then look up other models. You can only see what they've got in that. Which I think would be really interesting.
Yeah, having a split battle bunker.
That would be really interesting. Yeah. The only other thing I could see happening maybe is, and this is the dream, that they charge a subscription service and you get all the rules, and then that's how you see your opponent's list, because you can just make their list on your own app. Or they can share the list to you and you can see their list because you have access to
sharing
their
a
rules.
list, yeah, but not creating. Not just
I think, like, I could see maybe that being the.
You really think that? I don't think that.
Like that's what everyone wants, and that's what everyone's like clamoring for across the community.
Hopefully.
I don't see why they're still selling the physical media. Like, obviously, like it's nice having a collecting book, but you in the age of these rules that get updated every 3 months, you know, in like the MFMs and like the balanced data slates, having this physical media of a book, it's outdated. It doesn't need to.
I mean,
exist.
I personally hope they don't stop.
No. Codexes should
remove
just
the codes. I don't want individual fucking.
No, I don't want the rules in the codex. I want lore. I want artwork.
Yeah.
And that's all I want in the codexes. And I want them to release like a lore art book every army that comes out.
I don't think they'll ever get rid of. Well,
and then the rules are online. And even if you do want to keep the codes or whatever, you get the code in the back of your codex, which you then scan, which gives you the rules online, which is what they do now. But then they don't need to print the rules, which a lot of the time in the current their current how they're rolling out things have come out outdated. Yeah. Like they on release they're already outdated.
You can't update a piece of paper.
No, you can't unless you're crossing stuff out in your own codex and writing stuff in. And that's a nightmare. Like, why are you doing that? And you've got it all on the app. Just sell it on the app and just sell a subscription on the app where you get everything.
Be able to buy a code on the app. Oh, imagine that.
Well, not even buy a code. Just sell a subscription service. When you already have one, maybe charge an extra £1 on top of what it is, or an extra couple £, and just think how many players worldwide there are of Warhammer 40k who would just pay Games Workshop $7.50 a month to just have all the rules.
Yeah, that'd be so good.
Like, and it just seems like printing money compared to doing a release of codexes where a couple people will buy them because you can just get most of the rules online now. I know for a fact that when the next Dark Angels Space Marines Codex come out, I'm not buying them because I can get all the rules online.
Yeah.
And what's the point in buying them? Because it's just a waste of money for an outdated book, which I can then look up the lore online. I can then, you know, I've got the 10th edition Space Marines Codex and the supplements Dark Angels. I haven't read them. I've just got them so I can get the code and put them in the
same.
app. That's literally all I've got them
the
for.
World Eaters, the Tower one, and I've even got a Tyranids one.
Yeah.
I bought them for
I've got a Necron there as well.
I got my Chaos Space Marine code through one of the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
That's how I got it. I just went, has anyone selling the code? Yeah, cool. Tenner, sure.
Yeah. like I just see it as pointless. And like, just either sell the rules as a digital rule set online that you can just go, for example, a tenner, I get a code, and then I have access to the rules for that army. Or do it as a subscription service where you get every rule.
You're very passionate about this.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it just seems...
This has been the
final
segment of the podcast. It's just been a Luke rant.
Well,
angry Luke rant.
It's stupid, isn't it? It's like it's releasing out-of-date rules and charging people 40 quid for the thingy of it. It's stupid. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, I think we better... We'll leave the podcast there before Luke bursts
before I explode.
But on just one final word as well, in case you live under a rock, the coming weekend is going to be the pre-orders for the Eye of Terror stuff.
Yes.
So get on that. I know I will be. I'm actually going to get the books as well because they look fucking great.
Yeah. And there's an example where they could sell books.
100%. You know, there's rules in there. There's different game modes in there.
Yeah, yeah. And stuff that's mostly just a lore book with new attachments in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sick. And that's what I like. And I'm definitely going to get them. I will be pre-ordering all of the Iron Warriors. Don't know about you guys. Might even get 2 defilers.
We're saying it's Liam's birthday next month, and the defiler comes out very soon. So we might see what we can do.
I need friends for that.
What am I?
A colleague.
Okay. We're colleagues now. Yeah, fair.
So keep an eye on the sales. That includes the Iron Warriors stuff.
Yeah.
Even dice, they look great. You've got your Adepticon Mechanicus stuff. The new Knights, and then all of the battalion boxes as well. They're all going on sale, I assume, Saturday around 10 a.m. So keep an eye on it through the week. It could change, but I'm pretty sure it is in the weekend. Mm-hmm. The weekend of this podcast release as well. So and we're going to head to Barhammer as always, because it is a Monday for us right now. We're going to go to Barhammer. It is me and Luke today.
Yeah.
So we've got Montcar Tau versus Grey Knights Warp Force.
Warpbane Task Force. I've been ambushed, by the way, guys. Ambushed. Because Liam was meant to be playing Demons, and I was like, you know what, I'll play Grey Knights. Demons versus Grey Knights, amazing. And then he turns up with 2 Riptides, the fucking Twin Lance. You got 3?
I've got 3 Riptides, mate.
Oh, fuck, I'm definitely getting ambushed.
Right, guys, it's been a lovely one.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes next week.
Indeed.
Bye.